I'm excited to be here and also challenged. The excitement is, this subject is one I'm most passionate about of all the things that I communicate or worked on or focused on in my life. And that's because I believe if you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. Because no matter what happens, no matter how much love we have from our children or how much we accomplish in our lives or how much we achieve, you know, I personally believe in our soul, everybody wants that experience of aliveness. So I'm not just about marriages. I had 4 different fathers, so I know the impact that things can come from being in a position where families don't stay together. But frankly, I wouldn't have changed it. You know, to see my mother miserable and unhappy, to stay with somebody, which is what she did with one of those relationships for 10 years, I wouldn't want to see her do again. So I'm not for the institution by itself. I'm not for the relationship. I'm for the people in it. And what I really believe, though, is it's a critically important institution, and I've supported it amazingly, but I want to make sure that the people within it don't just settle for being able to say, I'm still married. To me, that's not an accomplishment. You know, I really don't. And I say that also because, you know, that sense of aliveness affects your kids as much as anything else as well. And so I really believe that any relationship can be brought to love and passion again. But the challenge, of course, is that most people today have a perspective, an expectation, where the highest standard they have is not for themselves, but what they expect from their partner. And I think that's the #1 reversal that has to occur in any relationship for things to transform. That as long as we're looking at what am I getting out of a relationship, then we're going to be disappointed, we're going to be frustrated, we're going to have challenges. And so my view of things is to shift that with people. And to do it in a very practical way is to really shift both parties, but also I focus on both male and female. But it is true that most men I really do care, but they're not armed with the understanding of females. But I think understanding that and being actually applying it in an impactful way are 2 different things. And I think the awareness is the first step, but then training yourself so you can feel successful, because most men, and I think to some extent a great deal of women today, do not feel like this is an area they can be successful in. When you talk to people about the areas of their life that they feel strongest in, you'll almost always find they're stronger in their career, they're stronger in their relationship with their kids, they're stronger even in their body than they are in their relationship. And it's because it's so difficult when you're dealing with a person who is, you know, got all these energies and thoughts and feelings that are completely different than you. And simultaneously, you know, you have a love for them, but also you're facing the deep fear that everybody has underneath. And that fear is that love won't last. And when that happens, people start to really break up inside. So what I thought, you know, my excitement is to talk about the subject and to really try and serve you. My challenge is, the shortest seminar I usually do is 50 hours, 50. Because I don't believe in getting up and just speaking and sharing a principle or something like that. What I really believe in is doing it. So I'll take people in a weekend and we'll talk about the principle, and then boom, we go after it so that it gets in your body. We do it enough times till you're doing it. You're not just thinking it. So, you know, the short little time we have here doesn't come close to that. But I think I've got a format of some things I can introduce you to. So first, I want to thank you for the privilege to be here. Second, I'll tell you in advance that I'm going to try and cover a lot of terrain in a short period of time. But also, in doing so, I'd like to make it more active. And what I mean by that is, when I look around and I see the challenges that most people have in relationship, I think the #1 challenge is something I've seen for 30 years. And I don't just see it in relationship. I've always wanted to know the answer to a question. I've been obsessed by the question of what makes the difference in people's lives. You know, I grew up very poor. I'm talking to my 4th father, and I'm saying, Mom, I'm confused. You know, I was not popular in school. I loved people. So I was passionate about figuring out what's the difference in people. You know, why is it that some people are given everything? You know, the type, they really do have parents that love them, that are there for them. They have tremendous educational background. They have all the economic resources, and they end up spending their life going in and out of a rehab. You know, they had all the resources. And then you meet somebody who's been, you know, abused, or no one's been there for them, or they've been physically abused or sexually abused, or the worst things you could possibly happen to a human being. And they turn out to be some of the finest human beings you'd ever meet in your life, who are out there working to help other people and make a difference. So we all want to believe that our lives have turned out because of our biography. And the reality is we can all find people with a horrible biography who have an extraordinary life, and we have people with an extraordinary biography who have a life that none of us would want to trade with. So what's the real challenge? And I believe that the challenge in relationships and in life, in every area, is emotional fitness. That it starts with how emotionally fit you are in a relationship. And there are patterns that make people emotionally unfit. There are patterns that make people frustrated. There are patterns that make people depressed. There are patterns that make people angry. There are patterns that make people feel sorry for themselves. And there are also patterns that make people compassionate, playful, physically passionate, emotionally strong. You know, there are different patterns, and they stand out to you when you've been around that many people. So I've had now 50 million people get my books and tapes, but I've been with 3 million people face-to-face from 80 countries. And when you're around those many people, the pattern becomes clear. And I've been able to use those patterns, and that's what I want to kind of expose you to tonight. And frankly, you know, I think these patterns are common sense. But, you know, how many of you notice that common sense is not too common? You know, everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's simple. But, you know, a lot of people say, I know this stuff. Well, if you're not doing it, you don't know it. You understand it. And understanding and $3 will almost get you a cup of Starbucks these days, you know? It's really nice to understand things, but that doesn't change anything. You got to get in your body and actually do it. But I've learned enough of these patterns that now, over the last, 20 years or so, of the 30 years of my career, I'm the guy that gets the call when the fire starts. You know, when the athlete is burning down on national television and something's got to be done right now to turn them around. And, I either get them or I don't. And for 30 years, I've gotten them. That's how I've built my reputation. And that you've got to produce results right now. And I'm able to do that because of an understanding of these need structures I'm going to talk to you about. Or I get the call when the child is going to commit suicide, or the adult. And in 30 years, knock on wood, I've never lost one suicide in 30 years. That doesn't mean I won't someday, but I never have, not one single time out of the thousands of suicide attempts. And it's again because of understanding these needs I'm going to talk to you about. I get the phone call, in the middle of the night, true story, and it's the President of the United States saying, Tony, they're going to impeach me in the morning. What should I do? And I say, could you have called me sooner? True story, So in the experience of looking to make those changes and looking at how to change, same thing in relationships, couples that are gone, the films that I wanted to make with Chloe, I said, let's not make films with couples that have troubles. Let's make couples that look like they've gone beyond the edge. By anybody's estimate, there's no way to turn it around. Because by that extreme, when someone watches the film, they look at their own life and they go, oh my God, these people can do it, and they did here, I could do it too. That's the contrast we want. But the basis of all that I do comes down to knowing that the difference in your life, your relationship, your physical life, your emotional life, any aspect of your life comes down to this sense of psychological strength or emotional fitness. And what I mean by that is this. Let's go straight to relationship for a second. What is relationship really about? Intimate relationship. Well, other than a friendship, the only difference between a friendship and an intimate relationship should be intimacy, which is why we call it love and passion. So just hanging out together for the sake of the kids is not something we're talking about here. Now, if you're going to have that incredible relationship, it's all based on emotion. It isn't based on logic. When you fall in love with somebody, you don't make a checklist and go, I like this, hate that, this is good, hate that, this is good, don't like that. How do you fall in love? What do? You focus on every little thing you could possibly like or love about this person, and you fully associate to it every way, and you tell all your friends until you make them sick, right? And you're talking about him, you think of those person, I love when she does this, I love when he does that, that's an amazing, and you're talking about him, you're thinking about him, and you put whole bottles of cologne on, and in the middle of the night, you take extra showers, in the middle of the night, you're thinking about him, you call him up, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you go, I was just thinking about you, sorry to call so late, but were you thinking about me? And they say yes, and you're like, ah. Who's been there? Raise your hand and say, I. Yes. Now, if you're not raising your hand, we really have problems for you at this stage, right? So what's interesting is that experience, how long does it last? That was really a long, quiet answer to that one. Can it last forever, yes or no? Yes or no? Notice I got people that work with people in their relationships saying, no, that's not encouraging. Yes, because many people in this field think, oh no, that's a phase in the relationship. That phase, where everything is just la 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 beautiful, and having that expectation is, that's what's wrong with people. They need to lower their expectation and get realistic about marriage. That is not what it's about. I want to tell you something. I've spent the last 20 years of my life interviewing people that are having amazing relationships, who've been together 20, 30, and 40 years, and they don't just hang out, they love each other, and they're passionate for each other. Passionate. I interviewed a couple that came to one of my seminars. It wasn't a relationship seminar. And they're at one program I called Date with Destiny that I do. It's a 6-day program. And for 5 days in a row, this couple sat in the front row. He was 92 years old. She is 89. And they were playing so full out. I mean, so full out. Because my seminars are not about just sitting and listening. We do stuff. But during any break or sense of a break, they were touching each other, holding each other, and it was getting out of control. It was like, get a room. And so, it was really tough, and they kept being in the front row. I was a little distracted here, So finally I stopped everything I was doing and I said, I want to interview you two. Come up here on stage. And I brought them on stage, got 2 chairs, and I said, I want to understand something. I said, you guys have been married how many years? 52 years. That's amazing. Now, clearly you love each other, but it appears you also love each other. And they said, oh, yes. And I said, you guys seem to have a lot of passion for each other. And they both said, oh, yes, of course. I said, what's the secret to your 52 years? And the lady said, well, you can't just love, gotta touch. And everybody cracked up, you know. And I said, well, so you still at this age have great physical passion? They said, of course. And he said, oh my God, I live for it. He's 92, right? Right? And I said, well, what's the secret to your physical passion? And she said, well, we try anything once, and if we like it, we do it again. I thought, okay, that's good. So if you think about a relationship, other than the maintenance of some responsibility, people today in our society won't do things just for responsibility. They've been taught to focus on themselves, unfortunately. And while we all have to have a sense of responsibility, what's even greater, it's like discipline. Discipline never works long term. Never. What works is when you become addicted to something positively new. You trade one addiction for another. When you shift from having to doing something to wanting to do something. So our focus is how to make that happen. But I'd say this to you. If you want to change a relationship, the number one thing you have to do is master your own emotions. If you don't do that, forget it. There's no hope. And what's wonderful, though, is it's easy to do if you know how. But none of us have been taught really emotional leadership. Emotional management is the very minimum, much less how to direct and shape ourselves. I don't mean faking your emotions. I don't mean pushing them down. I don't believe in positive thinking, although you may think that from watching, you know, some of the media coverage, because people see me in an audience and there's 12,000 people and they're jumping and leaping and people go, oh, they're just in this motivational stuff. It's not that. It's that energy is part of life. And if you're sitting passively listening, you're not going to be able to listen very long, certainly not 50 hours, anything like that. If you turned on and you saw a rock and roll concert, you'd see people cheering, going for it. If you went to a sporting event, why do people do it? Because there's an energy there. So I create that in those environments. But I'm not into positive thinking. I'm not here tonight to tell you to go to your garden and say, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. You know? I'm very clear that I believe that life is about leadership and being truthful to yourself. And so I believe, number one, that the mandate for any great relationship and the mandate for anybody to lead their own life and not be a follower is you got to see things as they are, but not worse than they are. Because that's where most people go. That's where they go in relationship. That's why they start to tear it down. That's why the relationship starts to break down, because people get scared when it isn't working out, and then they make it worse than it is so they don't have to try. Because they don't want to try again and be disappointed. They don't want to feel that sense of rejection. They don't want to feel that sense of failure. So most people make it much worse than it is. People tell me all the time, oh, I'm skeptical or I'm pessimistic. I said, no, you're gutless. It takes no guts. It takes no courage to be a pessimist, to say it's not going to work, to try to find out what's wrong. What's wrong is always available. It's always what's right. So I'm not into positive thinking, but I am into intelligence. And intelligence says, see it as it is. Don't make it worse than it is. I mean, people all the time say, my problem is I'm big bone. No, you're freaking fat. Tell the truth. You know, what is this big bone story? You know, the only way it gets better is if you can see how it is. Don't make it worse than it is. Don't try to make it so it's impossible to change. That's not true. It's not true at all. The second mandate, I think, to changing anything in your life, to leading your life, is once you see it as it is, not worse than it is, then you got to see it better than it is. Because that's the thing that's missing from most relationships. There's no vision. I mean, without a vision, in the Bible it says people what? Perish. And when a relationship has no vision for greater than where they are, that relationship is going downhill, if not destroyed. I believe that every relationship, every part of life, every part of a human being needs a compelling future. If the future is not more compelling than today, today could be tough, but if the future is compelling, we can get there. And that's what every leader does. And every one of you in this room, and I know some of you are here, I guess, from the general public as well, just for your own relationships, I really acknowledge you for. But I know that you're from the military here, I know the therapists here, people from all walks of life. You're all leaders. What's your job? To lead. Your job is to help people see it as it is, not worse than it is. What's your job? Help them create a compelling future. See it better than it is, so there's a reason to give my all again. Otherwise, there's just no juice. There's no energy. Why? They'll go through the motions. complain with each other, not really believe it's going to work, and nothing will change. And then finally, the third step that we've all got to do if we're going to change our life or anybody else's is make it the way we see it. And that's where strategy comes in. I try to take things that are complex and make them as simple as possible. I've noticed most people in the psychological world try to make it as complex as humanly possible. Because it makes us feel so sophisticated when we can talk with all these complex words and elements and so forth, and we can really, we got our degrees and we're somebody. But you know what? That doesn't help anybody. So I look for a nickel word and not trying to sound harsh to get to the heart of something. I'm trying to take something complex and make it simple so that people really will apply it. And that's the focus here. So if you and I are going to talk about relationships as a whole and say, what are they? I come back to the base of it. It's all emotion. That's all it is. If two people are both high as a kite, they're having the time of their life is going well, their work is going well, everything's going well, what kind of relationship are these two people going to have? You tell me. Good, great, average, terrible, what is it? Come on, yell it out. You know it's going to be great. Because in an emotional high, everyone communicates well when they're in a great state. Isn't it true? Men and women, even men communicate well when they're in a great state. Right? Is it true? So this is the key. Now, if you've got those same two people and they're in an okay state, life's okay, business okay, kids are okay, career's okay, mother-in-law's okay today, whatever. If they're both okay, what's the state going to be like? What's the relationship going to be like? You can predict it. What's going to be like? Good, great, average, what would you say? Average. If both people are suffering, they're hurting, they're in pain, frustration with their work, overwhelmed with their kids, some challenge with a family member, hitting a stage of life where they're questioning their identity or their future or what they can do. They don't have a compelling future. And they're both in a low state. You tell me, you know it, you've got the experience. What kind of relationship? Good, bad, great, horrible? What would you say? Quick. Sucks. Technical term. Thank you, sir. It sucks. Yes, that relationship is going to suck in the technical term. That relationship is going to have huge challenges because in that state, you're in the danger zone. People are going to say things, they're going to react to each other, they're going to respond in ways that really aren't a reflection of who they are. They're a reflection of the state they're in. How many of you have ever snapped at somebody, had nothing to do with them, it was just the state you're in, your body was hurting, you're going to something? Who's ever done this? Raise your hand. Say, I. But the problem is, we have a much higher standard of what we expect from our spouse. And when they do something like that, we rarely forget it, right? And so then it starts to stack. So as Chloe described the process of stacking great memories, most people get to where they are to the point of seeking you out because they've stacked the negative experiences. They didn't just take one experience and come to you. It's a series of experiences usually that have stacked and stacked and stacked until now it's like if I took my arm here and I rubbed your arm like this, no problem. But if you get a scab there and we touch you with a feather, you're going to jump out of your skin. It's the same thing of where people are. So building emotional fitness is the #1 gift you can give anybody, because otherwise if they come sit down, and I can't stand it when I sit down with couples like this, they're such whiners. And I just tell them that. He does this, she does that. I say, do you know what you sound like? Let me record this and play it back for you. Because we live in a world where everybody's focused on what they're not getting. And as you do that, there is no relationship. A relationship, when you're in love with somebody, what will you do for them? What? It's not a trade. It's not a, okay, I did this because you did that. That's it. All you have is a transaction. That's why I honestly don't like the word partner. Because partner, it's a transaction. You got a business going. We got a deal here. We got some rules that we'll abide by. And I think that that is a reflection of what most marriages have become today, because our culture has hypnotized us. Our culture has hypnotized us into believing that this is what you should adjust to. And frankly, I know many therapists who are constantly trying to adjust to someone and say, well, no, this is just, you have to adjust to this stage of your relationship. This is where it is now. That spark that people had initially can come alive at any point, but it can't happen without the emotional fitness. So you and I, if we're going to transfer this to somebody else, frankly, we got to have it too. And think about this. Base of emotional fitness is energy. If you're exhausted, how the hell are you going to have passion in your relationship? I mean, people come home and it's like, even, especially if, let's say, one's kind of excited for whatever reason, kind of frisky or excited to be with that person. Let's say that lucky moment happens. Usually the other one's like, oh, honey, I love this, wonderful, but I'm exhausted. I got to eat something. I got this to do tonight. I got to prepare for that. I got to answer my 500 emails. And it just drops to the floor. So here's the scary part. I think most therapists accept this as a standard, like, this phase of the relationship, this excitement, this passion can't last, because frankly, you're tired. Most of you all day long are dealing with so much of other people's stuff, dealing with it day after day. There's a stacking for you too. Now, why don't we apply it? We're smart people, we're intelligent people. I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. The main reason is that everyone in this room, including myself, we had a horrible experience, and that is we went to a 20th century school. I call it horrible because it conditioned all of us to be passive, just like you've been for the first 10, 15 minutes of my talking. You're all in your classroom. I can see you. You're being very nice to me, and I'm very grateful for it. But see, what did a 20th century school prepare you for? It trained you since you were 4 or 5 years old to get you ready for a job in the 20th century, which no longer exists. The 20th century job, you were going to be in an industrialized job. So the bell rings at school, and what do? You immediately report to your desk, your position that later on you would report to, right? Thinking you'd be getting a job on a line. And then when you get there, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to sit down, shut up, and wait for someone to tell you what to do. Don't speak until they tell you what to do, and then do that. And by the way, do not talk to your neighbor. How many heard this growing up when you were in school all the time? Say I. Me too. Now, I was a talker, so I was in trouble. I had a 5th grade teacher, Mr. Giles, that used to drive me crazy because he wanted silence all the time. Every minute he wanted silence. I think he just hated kids, so he was just like really quiet. He used to make me write these 10,000-word essays, why I will never talk again in class. I wrote 6 of these in his class, 10,000 words each. I went to my high school reunion, true story, my 10-year high school reunion. There were several teachers there. There's Mr. Giles. I went up to him. I said, this talking thing worked out pretty good for me. Here's my point, though. My point is, we've all been taught to passively take in information, right? So as you're sitting here right now, even if you're having a good time going, well, this is interesting, or this makes sense, or man, he has big teeth, or whatever you're thinking inside your head, if you're sitting here and you're passive, even if you're having a good time, the state of mind you're in gets linked to what you're learning. That's why when I'm working with people, if they're passive, they listen, even if they agree with you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's really good. They get linked to that state, so later on they feel equally inspired about doing it. Yeah, I should probably do that. Yeah, I should probably do that. So today, if you don't talk to your neighbor, you're out of business. Today, if you wait for someone to tell you what to do, it's over, especially in a relationship. If you're going to make anything happen today, it has to be completely proactive and different, and yet we're all still hypnotized. So I'm going to ask you to try something new, and that new thing is this. When we're doing this seminar right now, and we take some information in, if you listen to me passively, research shows you'll remember less than 10% of what I said within 3 months. In fact, some studies is less than 30 days, which basically means you wasted your night, and I did too. If you listen and take a few notes, research shows even if you're going to read the notes again, it goes up to 40 to 50% retention, because just the physical act of writing it down drives the groove deeper in your body. If you listen and you take notes and you physically, actively use your body, it goes up to 90 to 95%. That's like if you yell back the answer, if you engage your nervous system, because the groove goes into an active mode, not just a deeper memory. So I'm going to ask you a couple things. One is, if I ask you a question, if you would, yell back the answer. That's not so we have a rah-rah session here, because as I told you, I don't believe in positive thinking, but because it'll go deeper and your energy will be higher. How many will do this? Say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion's carried. Okay? Second thing is, if you really want to shift, then the fastest way to change your life is to get back in the growth mode. I don't care what it is. If you want to know what makes people happy, it's one word: progress. It's not achievement. Achievement gives you happiness for a moment, or maybe a week, or whatever. Whatever it is you think you've got, when you get there, it doesn't last, because life is growth. We're either growing or we're dying. We all know the phrase, but it's because it's true. Phrases that have been overused and sound stupid at this point, the reason they've been overused is because they're accurate. And if you're going to be alive, progress is it. If you want your body to feel alive, you got to make progress. If you want your relationship to be alive, there's got to be progress. If people experience progress, they are happy. If they don't, they won't be. I don't care what they achieve. I don't care where they go. So progress, if you're going to make it, the first place to start to get it is be like a kid again. It's getting people to break their patterns. All the problems in relationships are based on patterns. You interrupt the pattern that doesn't work, it's so easy. But to do that, you got to break your own. To do that, you got to have enough energy. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to be a kid again. Because when you're a kid, you try anything. right? Kids will do anything. If a kid tries something and it doesn't work, they don't feel like a failure. They just get up and try something else. But if an adult tries something and it doesn't work, they go, did anybody see that? No, never doing that crap again. It's bizarre. So here's what I believe. What's missing from relationships, what's missing from people's lives. Most people have a low standard for what they expect from themselves. That's it. That's it. Sorry to be so simple, but that's it. And so the way to raise your standard around is get around where it's better and let something hit you. Because most people don't have great role models. And when it comes to physical body, I started noticing all my friends talking about, oh, I'm getting old. They were 48, 45 years old, 40. So I decided I'm going to spend the next year interviewing people that are over the age of 65. I'm going to seek them out and find them who are role models for me, because I want people over age 65 that are extreme athletes that are performing better than 25 and 30-year-olds. Because I'm going to find out what it is that makes them tick. Because that's what I want. I want a long, passionate, extraordinary life. So the first woman I found, 72 years old, Sister Madonna, Catholic nun who did not exercise in any consistent way till she was 40. At 40, she was getting a little plump and decided she was going to go for a little walk. And each day she walked a block further. Within a year, she was running 10Ks, and then all of a sudden, marathons. And from the age of 40, picture this, to the age of 72 when I interviewed her, over those 32 years, she ran more than 350 Ironmen. Now, I mean, this is unbelievable. I want you to picture this. Waking up on your 71st birthday, you fly to Hawaii to celebrate your 71st birthday. You wake up that morning and decide the way you're going to celebrate your birthday is to run an Ironman. So you get up in the morning, you're 71 on your birthday, and you run a marathon. Then after your marathon, you go for what, a 2.5-mile swim. Then after that, you jump on your bike for 100 miles. Now picture this, you're at mile 45 roughly, and you are passing 35-year-old men. Better yet, pretend you're the 35-year-old man that a 71-year-old woman is passing. Sister Madonna got to mile, I forget the exact mile, but about 67, 68, 69. She was more than three-quarters. She only has like 25 miles to go, and the whole thing's done. And she's on the big island of Hawaii. And if you've not been there, it's beautiful, but it's desolate. Because you know what's happened is there's no trees. All the lava's come down and wiped out everything. So it's very rocky, and since there's no blockage, there's lots of wind, and the wind's picking up, and it's coming right at her, and she's coming to the end of this thing. She's, maybe got 25 miles to go, and the wind's picked up to 35 miles an hour, then almost 40 miles an hour, and she became a flying nun. It picked the wind, smacked her and her bike, lifted her and smashed her on the rocks. She broke her hip, split her clavicle, cut her face. They took her away in an ambulance. The next year, they started to vote, and they were deciding that they were not going to let anybody over the age of 55 do this because it's too dangerous. So she protested and came up and did it again at the age of 72 and completed it. How's that for some determination, huh? Think of those standards. Think of what's possible. The average person, I'm tired, I'm stressed, and they're 50, right? I interviewed a man 98 years old. The way I met him is at the New York City, each year they have a race up the Empire State Building, up the stairs. And obviously most people running are 20, 25, 30 years old, maybe 35. 98 years old, running up the Empire State Building steps as a warm-up to the Boston Marathon. So here's what I say to you. If you want to bring a gift back to the clients you work with, the first one you better bring is a renewed energy. A different standard of what you expect from yourself, because the energy is transferred to people. Words by themselves don't do it. If you take these words and you think of words like a little stick pin, you buy a blouse for a little stick pin, that's a word, and I throw it at you. Will you feel it? Maybe. But if you wire to the back of it an iron bar called emotion, boom, you can put that right through somebody's heart. And it's hard to do that if you don't rejuvenate yourself. So here's what I like to do. Ever see a kid walk through a living room and they kind of like, you know how old somebody is by the way they move, don't you? The older somebody is, the less they move. Total rigidity is also known as death. And did you ever watch a kid do this when they're a kid? They're kind of like walking around, they walk through the living room like this, and all of a sudden they go, woo! They just keep on walking like nothing's happened. Whoever did this when you're a kid? Come on, say I. Okay, well, I want you to get in that kind of a playful mode. My way of looking at this is this. If you're not a kid, you're not flexible. If you're not a kid, you're not still learning. And if you can be in that mode, you don't take yourself so seriously, you can add so much more value. So my view is, at 47, I'm still a kid, and the way I use this is this metaphor in my mind. I imagine that my metaphor for life always is a test is if I'm walking along and there's been a big rainstorm, and now there's a big puddle in your way. Regardless of your chronological age, your psychological age is the one that affects you, isn't it? I mean, these people I talk to you about, chronologically they're old, but psychologically they're much younger than 20-year-olds. So if there's a puddle in your way and you're an old person mentally, how do you deal with the puddle? Come on, guys, what do? No, you don't just walk around it. You walk around the puddle and moan while you walk around it. Isn't that what old people do? What does a kid do when they see that puddle? What do? Wham, right? How many of you are willing to be a kid with me for just about 90 minutes? You can always go back to being an old fart later if you want to. Raise your hand, say aye. Okay, I'm gonna give you a test. Stand up. Shake your body out. You've been sitting for a while. Stretch a little bit. Go over to one side and give it a deep moan. Oh, come on, moan, other way. Back, moan. Forward, deep moan. Kind of shake your body out a little bit. Get a little blood flowing in there again. Now, what determines the quality of a person's relationship more than anything else? Well, there are lots of answers to that question. I wouldn't say there's any right answer, but I would say to you the number one thing is their level of emotional fitness. Now, their emotional fitness, though, can be determined by a lot of things. But the most basis of it is how you feel emotionally. It has to do basically with your psychology, doesn't it? Your mindset, your model of the world, the way you interpret what things mean. Because meaning produces emotion. Change somebody's psychology, you can change their life. Don't do that, nothing else changes. I have a friend who just made a documentary called The War Tapes. She was offered to go to Iraq and to be embedded with the members of the National Guard or whatever it was in the state she was in. And she said, you know what I want to do instead? I want to give the troopers cameras and let them shoot. If you haven't seen this documentary, it's unbelievably intense and beautiful because it shows war at all the levels of it. You see the humanity of it, the inhumanity of it, shot through these men's eyes. But the reason I tell you this story is I asked her what moved her most, and she said there was one man she followed up with who was blown up, and she went to the hospital to see him. And she said, Tony, she said, just brought tears to my eyes because I walked in and he had this big smile on his face and his left arm is gone. And she said, I sat down with him. He was sitting at the table and we started talking. And she said, I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe he's on drugs. Maybe he's in shock. Maybe he's just trying to put on a good front. And she said he was genuinely grateful to be alive and happy and grateful to God. And she said, well, why? And he said, because I'm a righty. But here's the killer piece of what she told me. She said they talked for an hour and a half. She said she left feeling stupid about the things she feels bad about in her life and feeling so grateful she'd been with this man. And at the end, he pushed away from the table and he had no legs. He lost his legs and his arm. All he mentioned was he's a righty. Didn't even talk about the legs. So most of us are unfit emotionally, which means something in our psychology has made us weak. Part of it is, how do you build the muscles? Push through difficult times. And most of us today in our society, what we think is difficult will be somebody else's idea of the greatest dream on this earth. And people have forgotten that. And so they get bitchy and whiny and complaining about the littlest stupid things. So we got to start with ourselves. So let's learn about your psychology first, shall we? Let's do a little test. Pull your hands out like this. And when I say now, bring them together like this. When I say now. But I like people who anticipate. That's good. Ready? Now. Ready? Now. Ready? Now. Keep your hands together. Extensive psychological research over 35 years has shown something interesting. Just like in relationships, we develop patterns we're not even noticing. Like no matter how many times I pull your hands apart and bring them together, you'll usually have the exact same thumb that you'll drop on. If your left thumb is on top of your right thumb, research shows that the driving force in your psychology is the desire for sex and you're an incredible lover. If, however, when you brought your hands together and put them back on top, if your right thumb is on top of your left thumb, then the driving force in your psychology is the desire to be intelligent and you will make a difference and be financially free in your lifetime. Check out this man. He's got a thumb fight. Do I want the sex or the money? The sex or the money. If your thumbs didn't cross, they just lined up equally like this, it means you think you're sexy, rich, and smart, but you're none of the three and never will be. This has nothing to do with anything, just making sure you're awake. Okay, shake your body out. Okay, how many agree that if your emotion is high, you can deal with stuff a hell of a lot better? Say aye. How many agree in a relationship's a hell of a lot better when you're high? Say aye. Good. Then let's see how to go from high to low and how you do it. Because the illusion is something makes us feel a certain way. But the truth of the matter is you could say, they said this and it pissed me off. Well, somebody else could have said it and it doesn't piss you off. So all it is a belief about how to respond. But the emotion itself, you trigger. Even good emotions. If, like, you kiss somebody and wham, Mr. Happy comes to full attention, you're so excited, where does that feeling come from? Does it come from wet tissue touching wet tissue? You know, if that was true, kissing your dog would excite you. It's because you have a belief in your head that someone who's shaped like this, someone who shares the same spiritual values as you, somebody who kisses me like this, wham, I feel like this. But if they're not spiritual like me, or if they're shaped like this, or they kiss like this, you go like this. It's a belief system. Emotions at their rawest form are always available. And we do emotions. They don't happen to us. And that's the lesson we want to get in our bodies and we can teach our clients. And here's what I want you to see. Emotion is created by motion. Emotion comes from the way you move. If I said to you there was a depressed person behind curtain number 1 over here, and for a $100,000 donation to your favorite charity, if you could describe their physical body without even seeing them, I know you could do it. Tell me, what's their posture like? Quick. Nice and loud. What is it? Where's their head? Where are their eyes? Breathing full or shallow? Muscles in their face, up and tight or slack? Now, how come, 2,000 of you all agree? Because you've practiced this crap before, haven't you? Now, if you take somebody like that and you change their physical body, that's what science shows today. You just radically change their physical body. You change their biochemistry like that. It's not a fake thing like hiding your emotion or pretending to be happy. A radical change in the body produces a radical change in emotion. So let's do a subtle little test for this. I want you to shake your body out. And here's what I want you to do. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to approach 5 or 6 people as quick as you can, next minute or two, and introduce yourself to people. But when you introduce yourself to them, I want you to do it in a very specific way, in a very specific state of mind. I want you to greet people as if you feel like meeting them is a total waste of your time. Like they're scum, why do you have to meet them? So it might look something like this. You, sir, come here. Come here. What's your name? What? Frank. Frank? Bill, get out of here. Okay, now, as therapists, and this will be very difficult. Many of you go, I can't be mean. But what I want you to do is deliberately put yourself in a state where it's a way. Who here has ever been pissed off or frustrated? Raise your hand and say, I. I want you to deliberately get in this frustrated state, like it's a waste of your time. And the reason I want you to do this is I want you to notice not only how somebody greets you and how it feels, that's obvious. I want you to notice what do you have to do with your body to go, if you really do this legitimately, where you put yourself in a state where it's a waste of your time, it's frustrating, you're a little pissed off, what are you going to do with the muscles in your face to get in that state of mind? What happens to your breathing to get in that state of mind? How do you have to change it? How do you move? What gets tense in your body? Do you go straight towards them or do you hesitate? Do you talk loud or more quiet, fast or slow? I want you to notice the physical things you have to do to go in this state. Now, if you don't do this, like if you just do it kind of half reared, then it'll be like, why are we doing this stupid exercise? Be like a kid, not like a boring adult. So stay in state, notice what you do, total waste your time, you got 1 minute, go. Meet as many people as you can, go. Now, shake your body out, get out of that state completely. Now, please give me an out loud answer for 2 reasons. It'll keep your energy high, and secondly, everyone in the room will hear the percentage of the audience that's affected. So first, did you have to change your body to go into this state? Yes or no? Yes. Did you change the muscles in your face? Yes or no? Yes. Did you change your breathing? Yes or no? Yes. More full or more shallow? Say it again. 2,000 people, different belief systems, different backgrounds, all saying the same thing. Did you talk more loud or more quiet? Faster or slower? Now notice, you all have different backgrounds, belief systems, values, come from different parts of the world. Who here's from a different country than the United States? Raise your hand. Who here's from a different country? Look at this. And you're all saying the exact same thing. Here's why. What is universal in all human beings, what God has created with us, or nature, whatever your belief system is we have the same neurology. If you use it one way, you'll produce one emotion. Use it a different way, you produce another emotion. It has nothing to do with your partner. And when you get it, you can change it. So let's try something in a different state. Shake your body out and be like a kid again, not a boring adult. And here's what I want you to do. This time when you greet people, we're going to do it in a different state. I want you to greet people as if you're deathly afraid they're going to reject you. Now, who here has ever failed to do something because of a fear of rejection? Anybody in this room? Say I. Okay, good. Then you know what I'm talking about. But here's what I want you to do. As adults, we cover up this feeling even from ourselves. We try to hide it. I want you to exaggerate what you do so you'll notice what you're doing on a more subtle level. So you really be like a little kid. So it might be like this. You might go, sir, come here. Come here, you, sir. You, yeah. Hi, how you doing? What's your name? What's your name? Bill. Bill. Nice to meet you, Bill. Wow, you got a strong voice. Thanks. And I want you to exaggerate what you do if you're deathly afraid they're going to reject you. Notice what you do differently with your face, your voice, your body, your breathing, your tension, and see how it's different than when you're pissed off. Get to as many people as you can, stay in character, deathly afraid they're going to reject you. Go, go, go. Give me an answer nice and loud, please, so your energy's high and you hear it. Did you have to use your body very differently to go in a state of fear of rejection than pissed off? Yes or no? Yes. Did you change the muscles in your face? Yes or no? Yes. Did you change the way you were moving? Yes or no? Yes. Did you change your breathing? Yes or no? Yes. More full or even more shallow than when you're angry? Which one? Say it again. Mm-hmm. Did you talk louder or quieter? Faster or slower? Again, 2,000 people roughly all saying the same thing. Interesting. Because in order to feel a fear of rejection, you got to do something in your body regardless of what somebody says. It's something you do. It doesn't happen to you. Let's do one last one. Shake your body out. Try a different state. This time, I want you to approach people as if whether or not they like you or not will determine whether or not they do business with you or not, which will determine whether or not your children eat next week. In other words, if they don't like you in the first 3 to 5 seconds of meeting you, and people would never make such a judgment so quickly, would they? If they don't like you in the first 3 to 5 seconds of meeting you, then in case you don't have kids, everyone you care about dies like pigs in hell. It's that important they like you. Let's see if you use your body differently. Ready? Go, go, go. All right, did that feel better, yes or no? Yes or no? Did you use more of your body, yes or no? More of your face, yes or no? Did you breathe more full or more shallow? Did you talk louder or quieter? Did you move faster or slower? Did you hesitate or go straight for them? Did it feel good? Why? Because emotion is created by motion. If you use more of what God has given you, you will feel more. But most of us have learned to shrink how we use our bodies in the cultures we live in today. Most people's idea of exercise is fill the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current. People get injured typing today. Ooh, that hurts. Scary. Use your body, you will feel more alive. And the same thing is true with these couples. Now, was that the best greeting you're capable of giving another human being? Yes or no? Some of you are saying yes, most of you are saying no. Let's review the exercise. I said if you don't give your best, everyone you care about dies like pigs in hell. And you still didn't give your best? We need to talk. Listen, if you said no, I respect you because you were honest. Because whenever we say we've given our best, it's always a lie. Because whenever you get there, what do we always discover? There's another level. Every 4 years for centuries in the Olympics, what happens? People run faster, they jump higher, they lift more weight. Every 4 years for thousands of years. How has this happened? Drugs, that's how. No. No, that was just a recent thing. The point of the matter is, whenever you get to where you think your best is, it opens up another possibility. And this is what couples have to see. They think they've already had their best days in the beginning. And some of us have been guilty of encouraging or agreeing with that. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do. This idea, when I first started coming out doing the things I was doing, I'll never forget, The attacks on me was, he's raising people's expectations and they're going to be disappointed. I hope the hell so. Disappointment. If you don't have a higher expectation and get disappointed, you're not going for anything. You're not alive. And besides, that disappointment will either drive you or crush you. You get to decide which one it's going to be. Absolutely. So, since that clearly wasn't the best one you're capable of giving, we have to take up one more level. You say, what are we going to do, get naked? No, no, no. This time what I want you to do is I want you to greet people like they're your long-lost lover or best friend. Like, oh my God, look, it's Mary. Look at her. Oh my God, there she is. Ah! I want you to greet people like your long-lost lover or best friend. Ready, go, go, go. Did that feel better, yes or no? Yes or no? Did you use more of your body or less of your body? More of the muscles in your face or less? Did you breathe more air in or were you more shallow? Yes. Did you talk faster or slower? Did you hesitate or go straight for them? Did you talk louder or quieter? Did you touch them? Oh yeah. Did it feel good? Why? Because I told you to. Very good, sir. Thank you very much. Because emotion is created by? That's right. Now, most people get in a relationship because they're after some emotion, not another job. True or false? And for most people, it becomes a job. And then many people encourage them to stay with the job, which is a nice thing. But wouldn't it be nicer to have them enjoy the job and not have it feel like a job? And the only way to do that is we've got to rejuvenate the individual. There's nothing worse, nothing on earth, than two emotionally unfit people put together. Because what is a relationship's purpose? Why do we get in relationships? Someone tell me. To grow, to experience love, to be happy, to learn deep spiritual lessons, to have someone to bitch to. Thank you, sir. Very good. Someone to bitch to. Now, here's what's interesting. Everything you would say to me, whatever you're going to say to me about why we get in a relationship, underneath it, even if you say, so we can make a difference in the world together, but why do you want to make a difference? Because it's going to make you feel something. There's only one reason we get in a relationship, to magnify human emotion. That's it. That's God's gift. How many of you, when you're excited about something, first thing you think about is who you want to tell or share it with? How many of you relate to this in some way? Say, I. So some people use a friend, but the intimate relationship, if it's not only safe, but there's real love and passion there, there's no greater place. If there's trust, if there's respect, there's no greater place for this. But the challenge, of course, is most people don't have it at that level. And one of the reasons, again, is there's not that emotional fitness. Here's what you got to know. People feel they find their center of gravity and then they blame their partner. And here's what I mean by this. When 9/11 happened, I'll never forget, I had this experience. I was in Hawaii. I was doing a program there for a couple thousand people from 45 countries. We were translating 4 languages simultaneously. It was a 10-day program I used to do that was full tilt from 8 in the morning to midnight. I mean, you had people from all over the world, real leaders. And I just said, living. When do people really begin to live? When they face death. If they face death and they look it in the eye and decide to live, they really start to live. And I said, what would your life be like if in the next 10 days you knew you couldn't get off this island and these are the last 10 days of your life? What would you do different? Who would you call? What would you say? What truth would you tell? What feelings would you share? And I went on to this for like 15 minutes. That night, 911 happened. At 3 o'clock in the morning, they called me to tell me the buildings had just dropped. And we had 200 people from New York there, because I have a lot of people in the financial district that are my clients. And there were at least 45 people we knew immediately that had lost their entire company, all their friends, family, their husbands, their wives, instantaneously. 3 o'clock in the morning, you go outside, and it was pandemonium. Because you got people from all these cultures. Every religion was represented in the room. And so outside, there were people that were crying uncontrollably because they knew the end times were here. There were people out there that were fighting because some people were celebrating. I mean, it was brutal. No one thought I'd get everybody in the room. I got them in the room, and I said, today is about emotional mastery. That was the scheduled portion of that day it was supposed to be. I said, and this is the real test. And so we brought people together, and I got people to express to me and tell each other, at the moment that 911 happened, what did they focus on? Because these are 3 decisions that shape your life. Number 1, what are you going to focus on? Right now while I'm talking, you're making a decision what to focus on, and it's what shapes your life. It shapes every relationship. It shapes your entire destiny. Are you focused on what this is going to mean to your life? Are you focusing on who the hell is he to tell me that? Are you focusing on the smell of your neighbor after that jumping up and down? Whatever you focus on, you feel, don't you? Even if it's not true, you feel it. So focus is the first decision we make. Second decision is, what does this mean? Is this the end or the beginning? If you think it's the end in a relationship, you're going to behave very differently than if you think it's the beginning. Is God punishing me with this? Is God teasing me? Is God challenging me? Is this God's reward? One shift in meaning instantaneously changes your emotion, and your emotion is your life. And then the third decision we make every moment is, what are we going to do? Pull back, go forward, give up, sit down, stand up, make it happen. So I ask people, what'd you focus on? What did it mean? What'd you decide to do? And people stand to share this. And afterwards, one woman raised her hand, and she was from New York, and she said, you know, last night after your talk, she said, my boyfriend had asked me to marry him. And I told him no because my previous fiance had been murdered and killed, kidnapped and killed. And she said, I'm not over that. And he said, well, you go to that stupid seminar, then it's over between us. And she said, then fine, it's over. And she said, then when you said that first night, I got chills. So I called him last night at midnight to leave a message to tell him how much I love him, that I want to marry him. And she said, he called me back at 3 o'clock this morning. She said, but I didn't get the message, but I have it here. And he was at the top of the World Trade Centers where he worked. And she actually has a voice. She was on Larry King later on sharing this. And he plays this thing on, and he says, honey, I can't tell you what it means to me to get your message and to know that you love me. You can't imagine how much I treasure it. And he said, unfortunately, I have bad news. He said, I don't know what's happened, but the whole building's on fire. And he said, I'm not going to get out. And he said, so I just want you to know, he said, that I love you so much and that you've touched my heart and my soul so much. And if there's only one thing I could say to you is, you must be asking why God would do this to you twice with 2 different men. He said, I don't know, but maybe it's a lesson, honey, that whatever you do every day of your life, love and don't ever hold it back again. Don't hold back love. Don't hold back anything. Love every day you've got. I love you. And he hung up. Everyone in the room is crying uncontrollably. And then the first man who stands up is a man from Pakistan. He says, I just want to say I'd like to hold your hand and say that I feel sorry for you and cry with you, but frankly, I'm from Pakistan. I'm a Muslim. This is retribution. It was like a war broke out in the room. And so I brought him on stage, and I brought a man on stage who was an Israeli man who truly was, to say the least, more than upset with this man. He has family in the occupied territories. He worked in the Twin Towers, so if he'd been there that day, he'd been dead if he wasn't at the seminar. And we merged these people. But the biggest lesson I got, and they became friends, and they worked together for peace, and it's been, 5 years, whatever it's been now, 6 years. The bottom line, though, is this. I noticed something that day. Angry people got angry. Sad people got sad. Worried people worried. Loving people loved. This one woman was so pissed off, so I went around and asked her about things. She wasn't from America. She knows no one in New York City. This didn't affect her in any way, and yet she was raging about this thing. I said, you just get pissed off all the time. You use rage all the time. And she kind of smiled and goes, well, it's kind of like jet fuel. I brought up this woman who worked in the hospitals in New York, and she was guilty that she wasn't there to help people. But as you dig underneath, she always finds a way to be guilty. Here's my point. People, how many of you know somebody who always finds a way to be pissed off no matter what happens? How many know somebody like this? Say, I. And how many of you know somebody that isn't funny, but they think they are? And they laugh so hard at their own jokes that you find yourself laughing too. How many got somebody that say, I? Who do you want to be with? Not hard to figure out, is it? Emotions are a habit. And when we go to relationship, all we do is magnify them. And then we find reasons to back them up. Those people used 911, as horrible as it was. I said to them, all of them, you could be feeling this sad, you're going to feel this sad, as horrible as it is that 3,000 people died. Guess what? 4,000 people die of cancer and heart disease every day in this country. And they're men, women, children, aunts, uncles, mothers, and you're not sitting around crying about them every day. Why are you so selective in your compassion? Because what we did is focus on it, and then people use that to produce an emotion. That's what people do in a relationship. You want to change a relationship? Change the primary emotion that person lives in. You want to do that? Retrain their body is one way. Only one. I'm going to give you a couple, but that's one. And the best way to do that is only if you can done it to yourself. So let's take this up one notch. Shake your body out. And notice if you sat down already, that ought to give you a clue that energy may not be at the high top of your list. Okay? It's like, oh my God, let me sit down and get comfortable. I'm not being critical of you, but just notice if you went for the path of least resistance, that's not signing up real well for your ability to transfer that to somebody else. So, but it's a new muscle, so let's use it. Let's do this. How many of you would like to have more joy, more excitement, more passion, more ecstasy in your life right now? Raise your hand, say I. Then if you really want it, you got to do it. Because emotions don't just hit you, they are triggered, and you can trigger them through motion. So here's what we're going to do. Shake your body out, and in a second here, we are going to shake this building with our energy. What I mean by that is, we are going to celebrate for no good reason. And here's why I say that. You don't need a reason to feel good. Why do you have to justify feeling good? And if you think that's weird, think about this. Most people don't need a reason to feel bad. Isn't it true? How you feeling? Like crap. How come? Woke up. And people go, I understand. But if you say to somebody, how's it going? I feel so good. How come you feel good? I don't know. I just feel good. Take that guy to the funny farm. Isn't it sick that we live in a culture that if somebody's happy, we want to know why. But if they're sad, we understand. That's where it is. So we got to change that pattern. So here's what you're going to do. Most people in our culture never celebrate anymore. And a relationship without celebration is a dead relationship. It's dead. Celebration is a secret to joy. Joy in a relationship is the basis of anything. That's where love can grow. So one of the things we got to do is learn to celebrate. Now, when do people in our culture celebrate? Like go crazy like a little kid and it's socially acceptable. When? When you graduate from school. Yeah, I did it. I have to go to work. When else do people celebrate? Come on. They have their first child. It's a boy, it's a girl, and you hug strangers and it's beautiful and everybody accepts it. Any other time you're weird. When else can you really cut loose and celebrate? You have your first orgasm. Good, sir. Very good. I did it. When else? That's right. Around the world, this is the weird thing about human beings, when a local sports team wins a national championship, show me. Come on, show me what people do. Come on. Yeah. We scream, yeah, we did it. What is this, we did it? You didn't do We did it, you watched. But I'm glad you finally make it okay to feel happy for a day. Isn't it a weird thing culturally that we're going to make our happiness tied to someone else's performance that we can't control just based on living in a city? But at least the city goes crazy for that one day. See, you don't need an excuse to feel good. How many got more than enough reasons to be happy and grateful for your life, for your health, for people you love? Say I. So all you got to do is retrain your body to celebrate instead of training yourself to fit in. How many of you have ever lowered your happiness or your joy or your energy because someone else wasn't feeling as good and you didn't want to offend them? And does it make them feel better? Your playing small does not make them big. All it does is lower the standard, and most of us have learned to do that. So if you're going to lead, you got to step out of it. So let's do this. We are going to celebrate just to get that energy in our body. On a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is dead, 10 is unstoppable intensity, go to 20. Now to do that, in case you haven't celebrated in many years, I'll remind you. First key to celebration is your feet must come off the ground. None of this, eh. I know it looks cool, but when you actually rise up like this and you extend, you open your diaphragm, which changes your biochemistry instantly. It doesn't happen when you do this. Second key is you must use your voice. How many of you and your kid used to make all kinds of weird noises? Come on. Make some crazy sounds out loud. Come on. I got a question for you. How many of you in this room love to sing when no one's around. You're in your car, you're singing, you're rocking. You get to the stoplight, you're still singing, rocking. You look over, the person in the car next to you is staring at you like this. What do? You quickly pick up your cell phone, act like you've been talking to someone. Why do we sing even though we don't sound good? Why do we like it? That's right, because emotion is created by, and to sing, you have to move parts of your body you don't normally move. And if you don't use it, so we like it even though we don't sound good. So when you're celebrating, you're going to extend and you're going to make sound like crazy. How many want to go for it? Say I. Then your job is to outdo the old person next to you with your intensity. We're going to clap. We're going to clap till we get to 3, and then we'll do it. 1, 2, 3, go! That's it! Come on! Come on! Use your voice! Get a high five from the people around you. Grab a seat. If you feel better than before, make a fist and say yes.